I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we have the minutes from April 11th.
I move that we approve the select board meeting minutes from April 11th.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have warrants 22, the payroll 22P, and Conservation Commission number 13.
All right, I'll move that we approve warrants 22, 22P, and Conservation Commission number 13.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? So, under warrant 22, we have, there's the agreement with the Carpenter estate for sand and gravel out of the Carpenter pit. Includes consumer price index increase. If that increases, then we adjust the cost to the town for sand and gravel out of that gravel pit. And apparently, someone forgot about that for last year. So we have to retroactively make up the payment difference for that. And so that's included in the warrants. It's that Carpenter pit adjustment.
Okay.
So,
And that adjustment goes, it's all the way back actually to 2016, 17, and now the current gravel price will be up to date from this point on, right?
yeah,
Okay.
until the next time when, I guess we look at that annually, or we try to look at that annually.
Right. Okay.
Other than that, the grand total is $18,248.27. With that going to fuel, payroll transfers and health insurance, contributions to retirement fund, the Carpenter pit payments, gravel from Renault, highway department supplies, our Windham Solid Waste Management District quarterly payment. There are GMP bills and new highway signs, road signs. So, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Let's go on to the road foreman, unless any of the public has anything not on the agenda. Okay, let's go to our esteemed road foreman, Lee Chamberlain.
Yeah, we missed you.
Hello.
Welcome back.
So Lee, what do you have for us today?
So, on that risk management, I was planning on going to that.
Okay,
Haven't signed up yet, but I do have the paperwork for it.
all right.
The curb cut for 379 Waterman Road. I did look at that. It is for a camper that he purchased to be able to put it, to have a place to park it. So I think it would be fine.
Doesn't go through a wetland or endangered.
No, I didn't take a picture this time.
Okay, okay.
Do you want to go over that? Or you want me to? Do you have a
The
question?
letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I was just looking through this, or we pulled it out. But so is this? Well, you can read this last sentence. It's really not clear. Is it going to be for a new driveway, or is it? I know it says RV parking there, but it mentions selling. If it's sold, that a person doesn't think they can park there or something. I don't.
He's sort of made it more confusing by trying to clear it up more.
Right.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was there, he was saying it was for RV parking. Have the right to add a driveway.
Have we all seen this?
It was in the packet, yes.
Okay, but it hadn't been emailed to us.
No.
Okay, then I haven't read
I guess we're just trying to get,
Any driveway
or I'm trying to
from-
figure out what the use is. Is it there already a curb cut that goes to the property, and this is a second curb cut that he's going to
Exactly.
use just to park an RV?
Yes, and it does go up to a very little shed also. Yeah, is he saying there that he thinks he might add a garage also? Or,
Well, that's what
or that?
we were
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah, that's because I didn't get that when I was up there talking with him.
Right.
Um,
Do you think we could get this sort of just,
taken care of
Yeah,
before we.
yeah. And if we get it straightened out, I don't think they'll.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, my problem was it's not a very good location, and for parking an RV, you know, for the amount of times to get it off the road, I understand.
But not for a driveway.
Right, not really for a driveway. It's not. I just didn't want any more water added to the road.
Right.
That's. Yeah, I might want to deal with that first, even though I know he wanted to get going on it.
Yeah.
So when it says when the property is occupied by someone else, does that mean if it were purchased by someone else?
Right, because I had told him that, you know, no matter if it's just we needed to put in there that it was just for like an RV. So then the next landowner down the road
Doesn't
comes
say,
in
"Oh,
and
well, I
wants to
already
put
have
an
this."
apartment house or a, you know, some other building there, that it's really not suited for that.
Yeah.
And I know the application just says for RV parking.
Right, and that's what I wrote on it.
But the
Yeah.
letter just was confusing, where he
Yeah,
talks about selling the land and then putting a garage, and if the future owner, it's very confusing the way the letter is written.
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah, I
So
wish I
how
had followed
would
him
that-
before that.
How could that be clarified in documentation that would then be clear to a future property owner?
Right. On the curb cut, of course, I mean, it's written down,
Yeah.
but
Who's going to look at that?
exactly. If none of us are around, then, you know, it's pretty much.
Like springs are deeded, so when you kind of know what you're dealing with when you purchase a property, and there are things in the deed.
Right.
But for something like this, which does sort of open up
Right.
some,
So would this be an issue only if that land was subdivided off, or is it already a separate parcel?
Do you know which property it is there on Waterman
I
Road?
think I do.
Yeah, with a little black top
Yeah.
driveway, the house that burnt.
Yeah.
There isn't much of a piece of land there that this access is going to go to. Not very big at all.
But is it a separate piece from?
Right.
So the land that he has his primary residence on, is this a separate piece that he wants to park the RV on, or is it just a part of?
Part of it, I believe.
It's okay.
I didn't look up on the map.
Yep.
But it sure looks like it's just, to me, it looks like a 2-acre lot. You know, it's not a,
Okay.
not a huge.
I don't think it's very big at all.
Right.
The whole lot.
With a whole lot, so.
So this is a separate entrance. He has
Yeah.
one driveway,
Yep.
which with a curb cut, I imagine.
Yes.
To his primary parking spot,
Yep.
and then he wants to go from 10 to 16 feet in a separate spot.
Yes. To be able to park his RV.
and you don't think that you're saying that it seems okay for parking an RV. You're
Yes.
comfortable with that.
Right.
In terms of the
Because-
road and runoff and all that kind of stuff, it's
Exactly.
fine.
Yep.
But if there's more activity than that in terms of building and access and
Right.
Or making it into a regular driveway.
and
Yes.
so what I see this saying is that he feels that he was asked to file this application to protect from that happening in the future. But I don't think this is gonna protect the next owner
right.
or
Right.
protect the town from the next owner doing something.
Unless we, specify this permit with the following restrictions and conditions
This driveway is used for RV parking
only.
only.
Right, right, I can put, yep. Yep. I would say that's adequate then, because it says it on it, and that's, curb cuts are very, what happens to them, you know, 20 years from now, it is very hard to control them. Driveway accesses. You just hope they put them in right at the time of the curb cut.
Right, but you put them in for a particular use.
Right,
And you make a decision to okay it, based on the use.
right,
And you're saying if there were
right. If it was
additional
a
use,
daily,
you would not be
right, or
approving
they would
this.
have to make it totally different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you feel differently if they, put up a building over the RV?
Right.
So there's more
Right.
watershed?
You're right.
Yeah.
Half the building is would dump okay.
Mhm.
The other half would have to be, the water would have to be run around the back
Would they
of the
need a
building.
permit to put up a structure over the RV?
Yes,
Would they need a
we-
permit?
Yeah.
Well,
They would, but that would just be really, by the zoning bylaw, if
Right.
it's just an accessory structure, they would just come in, file a permit, pay the fee,
And then
and
do
there's
it?
really no,
It's not
there's no
a
requirement for like to
conditional
review
use
the
or
curb cut or to review the, it wouldn't, in other words, it wouldn't, it's kind of one of those, the zoning administrator, I believe, can just issue that,
Mhm.
and he would have no reason to think that that's not appropriate
Yeah.
use of a 2 acre thing.
That's a good question, Maria.
And the other thing what's a little bit positive about where it's getting installed is up the hill from his driveway. So really the only person that's going to affect is himself. A lot of times with curb cuts, you actually you have them just to keep it so they don't keep complaining about the front of their driveway washing out. And I definitely don't want that to happen either. But I don't believe it will. But
Well, certainly, your explanation, clears this up, but it just says, for this lettering, when the property is occupied by someone else, they will not claim they have the right to add a driveway from this opening. But
A
Could it-
driveway? A
that's what-
garage?
well, it says a driveway from this opening and possibly add a garage.
Oh.
So I guess my only question is, the way this is written after your discussion, if this sounds like it could possibly be sold, is it going to affect anything if the new owner comes in and just comes in and files a permit to build a garage and pave the driveway or who knows? But is this, so that could happen, but would it affect how your road runoff or would the curb cut not be appropriate if someone did that, I guess?
I might look at it in a different way, I guess, as far as if it was going to be used daily, because it's not coming off at a 90-degree angle. It's not.
So should our curb cut permit, again, we may not look at it, but should it specify that there can be no building associated with this curb cut or garage or?
Right. I think the word "only" at the end of that wouldn't hurt, and then that would take care of it, right? Well, I guess besides a shed over the RV.
Yeah. Or are we being too restrictive? I don't know.
Right. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
Just my
So, this fellow may not sell the property, live there the rest of his life or her life, and so
right.
I guess if we added the word "only" to the end of that sentence that has conditions and restrictions, this driveway is used for RV parking only, and approved it with that,
Yeah.
and let
Yeah.
him know.
I mean, if you were really worried about any future, then I think,
Right.
you know, our job is to protect the town and the town roads, and so it's
Right.
gotta come from you, and you seem kinda like, well,
Oh yeah, it's in an area that I'm not that
Okay.
worried about.
Okay,
good, so let's add the word only.
Okay.
Okay.
And somebody has already signed it, so that person who signed it needs to know that we added that
Initial it,
word
yeah.
only.
Okay.
okay.
Yep.
Can you?
Can you
let
make sure
them know?
they know that?
Yep.
Okay, all right, and then, so, want a motion to approve this with the addition of,
I'll move we approve the curb cut with the addition of the only for RV parking.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
okay, any discussion?
We got it.
Everyone good with that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's sign this. There's the folder. There's that all right. All right.
So paving,
Oh, want to do the
oops.
paving with the school board? Do you want to?
Oh, we can do that now too, yep.
Okay, what is that? Where you?
Well, it's just, you and I met on West
Oh,
Street,
okay.
that's all.
Oh, good. Want to hear about it?
So yeah, we met the other day, I guess I was most interested in seeing where the road had a crown and where it didn't. And see how the water is coming across and affecting different landowners. So I think looking at it, there's quite an area from the community center to maybe Melroy's, that there's not much crown in the road, or well, there's none. And so that's where a lot of the water, once it hits the pavement, it just crosses. So our goal when we put it out to bid, still hoping to mill 2 inches deep and then pave 1.5 inches, ensuring there's a crown the whole length of West Street.
And the whole length and width at this time.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
that's a bit of a change from initial.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of just going a set 20 feet wide with the milling, there's going to be some areas that it's not going to be milled along the side, but for the majority of it, it will be. And here again, the main objective is just making sure the crown is put in the road.
So that
So
the
that-
water sheds to
Right.
the riverside.
Well, no, it's so that the people on the west side will should get half the water
I
from the
see.
road,
Yes.
and the east side will get their half
Mhm.
instead of the east side getting everyone's half.
That's right.
But won't that
Which side do you
water-
live
We get it all on our side.
but
We gotta fill the swimming pool somehow.
That's true. That's true. Channel it around.
the water going off to the west is, eventually going to go downhill. It's going to end up on the east
I
side.
know, really.
Yes,
Eventually
exactly.
it goes there, but
Yes.
maybe it goes through
Through
the
a
brook
culvert.
and the culvert.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, as opposed to through
Okay.
Hughes' driveway.
And that culvert, we looked at pretty
Yeah.
closely, but you don't want to change that out. You think that'll go for another 10 years or so?
Yes, the plan right this minute is that we aren't going to change it.
What
No,
size culvert is that?
It's only like a 15-inch, so it could definitely be brought up to an 18. That's why I'm not set in stone.
And at the
just
time
yet.
of
It's
paving,
just paved over.
Well,
right.
I was
It's
trying to convince him to change.
right, yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right. No,
And I'm not
right.
saying I'm like dead against it, because it definitely doesn't hurt anything to change them now, except for the water flow, and if it will last another 12 years, then we get it the next paving cycle.
Isn't part of this whole Act 64 enlarging
Yep.
culverts
Yep.
and becoming more flood resilient?
Yep.
And so I'm not trying to
Yeah,
tell you your
yeah.
job,
Is it a metal culvert?
Yes.
already it's a metal culvert.
Yes.
but wouldn't,
And it's,
Right.
it's rusted back in,
Yeah.
but it hasn't compromised underneath the road
Oh.
yet. But
Yeah.
I'm all about changing that. If
And what would the culvert be made of if
Plastic.
Plastic.
it would be plastic?
Yeah,
Okay.
we-
So metal is old culvert.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put in pretty much
I would think if
everything.
you're milling the road,
Yeah, just
Take it up
change it
there.
out.
Just, yeah,
Just
okay,
do it.
all right,
yeah.
all right.
Do you have enough money in your budget?
Yeah.
Do you need a little bit? We
Yeah.
could take
We don't
some.
spend
I think
penny
it
on
makes
the
a lot of
culverts.
sense.
Yeah, I
to
think
just
it
do
makes sense.
now.
All right, okay.
all right.
See, that's how easy it was.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it makes
It does.
sense.
It
makes
It's
sense,
just, you know,
And then-
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to do it after it.
That's how we
after
do
you pay
it. Every time we pave, we
Yeah.
inspect all the culverts.
Yeah.
And that's what we use as a judge.
Yeah.
Like, is it gonna make it through another paving cycle?
Right, right. Yeah.
But I don't wanna sit here and tell everyone it is and then have
And
it
then-
fail in
Mhm.
8 years too, and then.
Right.
Sometimes that's how I clean out my refrigerator. I think
Yeah, we won't last.
this mayonnaise has been here since 1988. It'll last until the next time I clean
You're
this
right.
out in another 15 years. Oh, probably. It still smells good. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go ahead.
And then the paving will go down to the community center, basically to the bottom of the hill,
Oh, really?
and they'll cut it in. Right.
Yep,
Right. They'll
yep.
cut it in, and then the rest of the flat area won't get repaved because that's fairly good shape.
It would last another 10 years, you think?
That's what we're thinking.
That was done 10 years ago.
Right.
And then, do you want to just because might as well get like Lions Road? Do you want to talk about that?
Right,
So,
the Loop Road or Lions Road or, I did walk around that, you walked around it also, but, and we looked at the drainage around those buildings with the pavement. Um,
Well,
it's pretty tough
Yeah.
because it's all stone foundations. Of course, paving the road makes it higher, where individuals can. You have to be careful. You don't add water to their basements, or you have the proper drainage. Right now, it kind of just goes everywhere. Kind of flows down the hill and seeks its own outlet.
Well, there's a couple of good drains at the top of the hill at the south side, in front of the old church. That's a good drain,
Yeah.
right? That catches a lot. And then there's also one in front of the old Grange that catches a lot. But
Yeah.
I guess the thought is to cut to they can't really mill that,
Right.
so they'd be added because it's such a small constricted space with the buildings there. So I think Lee's thought right now, I believe, is the intent is not to pave that.
Right.
We're going to skip Lions Road because
Okay.
it would just bring it back
Make
higher
it.
and cause more trouble.
Okay.
And we do have to cold patch some there, but it's not like high traffic, and we don't have to do a lot. And when we do address it, we'll, not really sure what the answer is to it, rather to, like the school, peel up the whole road, redo it, and then pave it, which is gonna be fairly expensive for what you're actually getting. But
We'll
That might-
worry about that when
right.
it comes.
that's the 10-year plan. You're getting it?
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fine, and it's not very highly traveled, so. Okay, so, the other thing, meeting with Windham Regional tomorrow, and this is for the road erosion inventory grant, to go over paperwork, and to discuss what parts of the inventory we're gonna do and which parts they're gonna do,
Okay.
to meet our in-kind work. So we've been hauling some gravel. We've got most of the road smoothed up some. We still have to wait for some of the frost and mud and snow to go. We've been hauling some sand out of Carpenter Pit. So that is open. And I believe we're gonna use probably around 4,500 yards of sand this year to fill the pile. But we're on our way.
What do you usually?
Yeah, it can be 3,300 to
Okay.
5,000. Yeah.
I think now that winter's come to an end, you mentioned the budget, the winter budget, you're good, everything's
Yep.
solid.
Yeah, we went over that again today.
Okay.
On the wages, we wanted to make sure on the wages.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything's looking good.
Okay.
Do you have a timeline yet for the, I know you need to get the bid process underway, but for the West Street
Yep.
paving?
Well, I was hoping to get the bids, kind of like finalized for next meeting
Mm-hmm.
and then go out to bid. And usually it's, 2 weeks to a month.
Okay.
And then, we look them over for 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
and then we award them. So we want to get on somebody's schedule fairly early.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the work can be done July through like,
Something you can do
October
in the
1st.
meeting. Okay, that's
Um,
a rough time.
yeah,
We're gonna work.
yeah, it never works out like getting it done in July. It's usually more towards September-ish.
Okay, thanks.
So can we take Christina's?
Well, you know what? We have, if we could, since we're juggling the agenda around a little, if we could hold off on the school discussion just so we could jump to unfinished business and approve the sale and sign the title for the rescue truck for the fire department, because he could be called
Any moment.
any moment. And I don't want to have
Risk that.
people waiting because we parliamentary,
Who gets to sign it?
I don't know. Okay, all right, so I get to ride in the front seat.
A lot of anticipation.
Okay, so we have to go. In our last episode of the show, we discussed that the fire department has an offer from E1 to trade in the rescue truck that isn't, well, it's getting up there in years, and it's larger than you really need, not really meeting your needs, and you're getting an offer of $54,000
Yes.
that you can then turn around and buy a smaller truck and outfit to meet the needs of the rescue
Rescue
portion
and-
of your department.
Exactly.
All you need is for us to sign
Yep,
our
have your
half of the
blessing.
title. So,
Go for it.
well, we need to take a little more formal motion.
Well, I'll move we approve the sale and sign the title to the rescue truck for the fire department so they can sell it.
Okay, I second.
Okay, any discussion? Because this, that if the rescue truck is as in bad a shape as this title is,
A little Scottish tape would be good.
Yeah.
yeah,
At least you found it though.
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to sign this.
Sign the back, actually.
Thank you, Laura.
Hey, Maria's here.
He's just ready to sign.
No pressure.
No pressure.
It's a lot of blanks on that form.
A little whiteout won't hurt.
Here, do you want to switch seats?
Yeah, how about you sign? You just sign it.
Maria can sign
You're
it.
authorized, sure.
That's right.
Maria's bought and sold
You
enough
can tell
equipment
how
before.
often I sell vehicles. Yeah, okay,
Right here, seller's signature.
okay, right there.
Thank you, Maria.
And I think you print your name, yeah, right there.
Okay, printed name, all right. All right, and 4/25/18. All right, and then you'll sign it and you're then good to go, right?
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
You're
All
very
right.
welcome. Thanks for
Appreciate
being
it.
here.
It's exciting.
Yes, it is for
Yeah.
all of us.
Good,
Make a good truck for the town.
yes, yeah. Excellent.
Thank
Good.
you. Thanks for
All
your
right.
time.
All right. Come by anytime.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, here's Lee.
Yeah, let's see, if anyone was keeping track of the agenda, we could skip over correspondence for information for the time being and go on to correspondence for discussion and or action and a request from the school board to have the town assist with the bidding process for a paving project at the school. And Christina Naylor as the representative of the school board, and Lee Chamberlain as our resident expert on paving issues. Want to come up?
Sure.
Okay. And run this past us. Everyone has read your email about this.
Oh, if I knew everybody was going to read it, I would have spell checked it more carefully.
Well, yeah, maybe you can describe the project.
Sure, I will describe the process. So, what we thought was resurfacing of the driveway to the school was put in the budget, and we got sort of a ballpark idea of how much it would be to resurface, and raised the town approved the budget for $30,000 for resurfacing it. The facilities manager for the high school came to take a look at it and said, it cannot be resurfaced. Well, you can resurface this, but it will probably last 3 to 5 years because it's in such bad condition, and the runoff situation. It's like the runoff meeting today. The water runoff is, we do not have a crown, we have a divot in the middle of our driveway where the buses go. So the water's coming off the building and sitting on the road where all the heavy buses go. So the recommendation from the facilities manager at the high school was, you probably need to dig the whole thing up. And so I realized I was well out of my depth at understanding what was going on, and so Lee came and said, yep, I think that the middle section of the driveway needs to be dug up and completely redone. And in realizing that the school board is out of their depth in paving, and we have people in the community that know what they're talking about with paving.
You know, we are all road commissioners.
I know.
This is the epicenter.
And I thought, do I have to know everything and learn everything, or could we partner together if you're doing paving anyway? Would this make sense? Also that it's a little bit more buying power for the school and for the town for getting a better quote. And the business manager at the SU, Frank Rucker, said, the town could just include it in their work and we could reimburse the town. I followed up with Frank and he said it would go through the normal warrant process. The town would be reimbursed within 30 days, just depending on where it hits, and the worst case scenario I think would be 30 days is from what I've seen. But the one catch that I have just heard is that it sounds like paving in the town doesn't happen until September in the normal process.
You guys aren't busy in
That's
September,
not.
are you?
And so perhaps this idea is not, now that I've heard that, maybe it's not doable by combining our bids and then getting in the bidding process, understanding what the school municipality is responsible for in the bid process and what the town is responsible when you're doing other paving. So.
As far as the paving, having the same contractor do both spots, the only problem is for the school project, there's a lot of those contractors wouldn't be able to bid on West Street because they do a different size works projects, yes.
Larger.
Yes.
The school project is smaller.
Right, needs smaller equipment, and the people who bid on West Street might bid on the school, but then there's also additional.
People that would bid on the school
Right,
who
which-
can't do West Street.
Yes, exactly.
Ah.
So that part of it,
Would lead you to believe that it should be two separate bids.
right, and we're on two different. It could be, even if it was the same contractor, it could be, timelines could be different, and they all know that the school has to be done at a certain time. And even for West Street, for us, we would rather have it done in the summer also to not deal with the school buses. But
Right.
but as far as helping on the bidding process and all that kind of stuff, I did mention it to Lori today also, because she helps write a lot of the bids also,
Okay.
just to make sure that she was willing to help, and she was, so. That part of it, and putting it out to bid, I don't mind, helping do that.
Cause you choose who you submit the bids to,
Right, we usually email them out to like 5 different contractors.
and you would know what contractors to email it out to,
Right.
given the
Yeah.
size of the project.
Right,
And the
right,
time frame would be in the bid
Yes.
specs, right?
yes,
Mhm.
yep, for each
And
area.
also you have to excavate?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that's, the school is gonna be a little bit more complicated as far as, we were talking about doing a pre-bid meeting down there,
Yeah.
just so that everybody is,
On the same page.
and where Dave Manning has looked at this project and just given us his thoughts also.
Mhm.
Great.
And just to make sure that we're kind of thinking the same thing. So,
Well, it's very helpful too because there's a town road that all that water is going to go to.
Yeah.
And so if we're not if we're not doing some level of coordination, whoever is doing the driveway,
Makes perfect
if the
sense.
town is not involved, we could just have the asphalt wars and just keep raising our
Yeah.
road.
No, it makes perfect
And
sense.
you can step down into
Do
the
it
school
together.
after a couple of
Yeah.
years. So,
Yeah.
yeah, originally when I went down there also, I didn't believe there was even gonna be enough money to have the school excavate the old blacktop and dig it out. So I did mention to him that, we could do that if the money was to get it done right. Which just paving over it, like they said, it isn't good money spent.
So you guys would rip up the driveway?
Yeah, if they have enough money to do that, which Dave Manning thought they would,
Okay.
then that wouldn't happen.
Right.
But if we had to do something like that, then
You have the equipment that could handle
right. They would do their finish grading the way they wanted it,
Mhm.
and to the way that
it.
it needs to be
Good.
done down there. But
well, I think that the school would we're reviewing our budget to see how much we have left because it's kind of a lot and we're getting to the end of our budget season, so maybe we'll know.
We are, actually.
So it's kind of helpful, so we're taking a look on Thursday to see how much we have left in the budget. We certainly would want to compensate the town at some level for this work, so it's clear what the town expenses are and what the school expenses are, but I don't expect the town would be making a profit if they were milling up our roadway. So I think
Mhm.
that's where we could maybe
Mhm.
have some savings
Mhm.
as we look at the project. But if we bid it out and somebody else can do it all, for what the school can afford, and if we have to go a little bit over budget to get something that has a 20-year life versus what we thought was a 10-year life but is really a 3 to 5 year life, I think we can pass the hat at the next school board meeting.
And I just have one of these hindsight is 2020 questions perhaps, but I know that this is a project that's been pushed forward. Is this part of the reason why it's in such a bad shape? Hasn't this been discussed at town meeting for a number of years?
Yes, I think
Maybe.
everybody who gets out of a car and goes to town
Yeah.
meeting for the past 5
Yeah.
years. I think the board,
Yeah.
it's never, not been on a discussion since I've been in there, but there's been
Yeah.
a lot of delay.
Mhm.
And so last year, we asked her, Carol, what are the things that are the most
Right.
important?
I'm just curious if
Capital.
if we're gonna end up spending more because it wasn't dealt with previously, and make sure we don't, or does it not work that way? I don't know.
the school is it's almost like Lion Street.
Mhm.
The school was, I don't want to say built too low, but the driveway was too high.
One or the
If you
other.
keep adding asphalt,
Yeah.
when we did an area like 10 years ago in front of the old building, we had to dig that down because if we had just added asphalt to it, it would have run right in that door.
Mm.
So,
So there was no solution earlier.
right,
Okay.
right.
Mhm.
And I think with the school being added on to at different stages, it
Right.
kind of, that's
the
how the
backseat.
parking lot went
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Okay.
Would there be any advantage to, like, once you get the bid specs you want for West Street done and the bid specs for the school done, when you put it out, even though they're two separate, you could just say, we're accepting bids on both of these, and if any of the ones we send it to for our project are interested in the school,
Yep.
Could they come back with a price on that? Maybe there's still some cost advantage. And then it'd just be a matter if they could do it in time. You know, you'd have to specify the school needs to be done by
Right.
whatever,
August
August.
20th. I
Right.
think,
Something.
Well,
I
is
mean,
that what you were thinking too about, like if we brought back the towns, or if we got these bids ready for 2-week period, then we can put them out right after that? Is that?
That's what I'm thinking. I
Okay.
haven't gone back to my board at
All
this
right.
point. We're meeting
Okay.
tomorrow night, so I will
Yeah,
find out. I
I think it's.
think it makes sense. I think it will make sense to everybody.
I don't know if. Yeah, I'd like to say if West Street was Schoolhouse Street or Schoolhouse Road, I would say
Yeah.
it's like a done deal, you
Right.
know. But with them having to move their equipment, there might be some savings, but I
Okay.
don't think you're gonna get.
Right, and the time frame where we're more flexible on West Street, but this needs to be done.
All right.
Right.
So that's probably just
Um,
muddy in the water more
yeah.
than required.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts to do them that way,
Yeah.
you know, putting them both out the same day, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. It's just a matter of if I don't know if there's gonna be any savings.
Yeah,
there.
probably, because how would we then open, I mean, we're gonna
Right.
open ours, right, but
Yeah.
we're not gonna decide on
Right.
the school one, I wouldn't think, you know, even though we're,
And would the school project being a different sort of project than the West Street, will that go out to different bidders, different contractors?
Yes, yes, the school will go out to, well, I would think the school would go out to like, probably 3 or 4 additional
Mhm.
contractors. And I don't think, like, we'll use Lane, for example, Lane Paving.
Yeah.
I don't think they would ever bid on, like, the school. What's that, Vermont Road Works?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They probably would.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Springfield Paving is kind of a, I'm not sure, type of thing. I'm not sure if he would bid on it, the school or not.
So,
Basins.
how would it also be helpful in receiving the bids to have Lee's input?
It would be very helpful in receiving the bids to have Lee's input, yes.
We can lend them to you for
Yeah.
a couple of minutes, probably. We don't really need them much for.
Keep track of your hours.
I'll,
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I'll, I'll find where he's working and
Yeah,
what to
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of finding a day for the pre-bid meeting that's gonna work, and then, I'm a little bit nervous about how to word it as far as, you know, if it's over budget, as far as doing the dirt work, then going back and trying to, I'd like it all be worded up front, so then there's no delay in actually doing the project, but, you know, having 2 separate prices, one for the dirt work and prepping,
Make sure.
and then
that's-
one for paving down there.
Right,
So then if they can only afford the paving, then we'll have to do.
right. But to make that clear up front, so that
Right.
each of the bids that we get has that differentiated.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion to allow Lee to help the school with the bid
Let's
process?
do it, just, why not? Then it's official.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? You know, we want him back. In as good a condition as we get him.
I think Hugh has some.
well, I'd say, I don't think, but we're not gonna assume any liability with any issues that come up with it, so,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
I can't imagine.
I'm just saying that.
But
to
it's
make
good
it-
to be explicit, good to be explicit, yeah.
In
Yeah.
terms of the handling of the bid, would the bid then come to the town? I think that would be or would it go to,
Either way, I'd like to work it.
I mean, I would think it would go to the school.
So we don't
And you would
actually
invite Lee to
come-
participate in your process. I think
Okay.
the school should have its own process, the
Right.
town should have our own process.
so I'll just coordinate with Lee because we want it to go up to the SU, to the facilities manager who works for BOHS, because we can just see at the school somebody being very efficient. We don't handle that many bids, so we're trying to not bring them through the school. We have a new administrative assistant, so don't want something opened by mistake before it's actually supposed to be opened.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
The only thing that I can see, as far as the school, you're gonna be like the, what we do is we'll have a, well, Lori's ours, But she'll take in any questions a contractor has.
Mhm.
They email them to her, and then we get the answer, email them to all the other contractors.
Gotcha.
So we need that person also. So I don't know if it's such a bad idea having it come to Lori, or or having it as the town's email. So then Lori would ask
Yeah, so
me,
she knows
then I would
about.
ask,
Yeah.
or
Right.
whoever your contact person, or whoever you would like to make the final decision on a question.
If Lori was willing to do that, that
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
make
Yeah.
the process go.
because if
more
it goes
smooth.
down there, I think it's going to be a hard.
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
that.
I'm
I
back.
see the logic in that.
Now, if the timing of opening the bids needs to happen at this, simultaneously though, I mean, we can't have a meeting
I-
one night and meeting.
Right, no, I
the
think
weekend
they're gonna
all
have two
together.
different bid processes.
Okay.
One, school bids will go out and they'll be separate from the West Street.
Okay, so we're no.
That's how I'm.
We don't
understanding it.
Right,
open,
right.
we're not gonna open the school bids.
And there
No.
won't be any bids that are combined.
Right, and we just need dates from them on when they would like to open the bid, and then,
From them, meaning the school board.
right, and then then their next meeting, because we usually wait like, in between one meeting,
Mhm.
just to go over them all,
Mhm.
just to, if we have any questions, so we don't.
So you open the bids at one meeting and then you make the
Right,
decision
I don't
at the
know.
next meeting.
I don't know if you're every other week.
We're every
or-
other week, but.
All right,
we
so that
can-
works out.
We can be
That works.
flexible too.
Yeah, that works the same as,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, if they're pressed for time, they could,
right,
We've had months with 4 or 5 meetings, so, and things are
Alright.
going on, so
okay.
okay.
that's not an issue, so.
Yeah, so
Ross,
what
schedule.
we're doing, just to piggyback on Hugh's point about not taking any liability responsibility, what we're offering is Lee to lend his expertise on creating the bid and the bid process, and we'll accept those bids through the town office, but they will then go to the school board for opening.
Okay, perfect.
And then our
And,
bids will come to us for opening for West Street.
yeah.
Yep.
And Lee will help you with sorting out the bids.
Yeah.
And we're hoping Lori will help,
Right.
take calls and help the process along.
Hopefully we have all the information written down, so, and at our pre-bid meetings, there shouldn't be a lot of questions, but it's just for that one question that comes up,
Yeah.
so everybody knows the answer.
Right.
Mhm.
That's,
Well, I'd take on that role if Lori is
right, okay.
not able to.
Okay.
Board chairs get to do a lot of that.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second to lend Lee's expertise to the school board for this project. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, he's all yours.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you,
Thanks.
Christina.
Are you going to take him now?
No, I'm going to see about conservation
Oh, okay. All
planning
right.
down
Oh, yeah.
So,
Thank
you.
Not great weather for that.
What?
Not great weather for that.
Well, I was wondering if the salamander crossing
Yeah.
activity was
Oh,
happening
yeah.
tonight, which was gonna take a lot of people away from that
I
meeting.
can't stay too late because I don't want to kill any salamanders.
Yeah.
Right.
Run into great wildlife habitat.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah, Alex is gonna
Did we finish with Lee?
Well, I don't know, we kind of sent him
Yeah.
to sit once, but I don't think he was done.
Lee finished with us, I
I was gonna
guess.
say, I think he was done with
Okay.
us. I think so.
Lee, are you all done?
Yeah, thanks for all your help in this.
Hey Lee, they wanna know if
Lee,
you
did you have anything else?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm all set.
Okay. Thank you, Lee.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna mention but we talked about the paving fund, we talked about it a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah,
I'll just bring
oh,
that up.
no,
next,
that's
yeah.
good.
Well, or do you wanna talk about it before you go, or your thoughts, or
No,
You're
no,
in the
if you have
goals
some
already.
thought, yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. You
Sure.
can- you can bring
I'm
it
sure
up.
this is on the agenda someplace.
Right.
Go
oh, it
for
fits in, there's always a way to fit it. But we can, I'll put it under the goals, if that's good, and then I'll just let you know.
Okay.
You don't have to stick around.
All right,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
All right.
He'll put it under the goals.
Okay, all right. Good. Well,
Right.
okay, thank you,
Have a good
Lee.
night.
Let's see, where are we? Let's go correspondence for information. Anything you want to discuss there? Okay, we've done that. New business, okay. we have the 2018 local emergency operations plan that needs to be signed and submitted by next week. What would you like to do?
I would move that we sign the 2018 LEOP as it has been received.
I second.
Okay, any discussion?
Did you see anything in it that was a cause for concern?
In
the plan?
No. No, I didn't.
Did anybody else?
No, I didn't.
I think we're good
I
to
think
go.
we're good.
Yeah, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so, let's see, I just have to sign that. All right. And that will go in, and then next March, we have to do that all over again. All right. Okay, so we have a note from Jonathan Royce, who is tending his resignation as a member of the Conservation Commission. Has a business that he runs, and then he's very involved with the state of Vermont tree wardens, helping to develop a more detailed outline what should be required for that position. So he just doesn't have enough time.
But he is staying on as one of our 2 tree wardens.
He is indeed, and working with the state on tree warden business, so
Yeah.
good.
Well, I would move that we accept with regret the resignation from Jonathan Royce from the Conservation Commission.
I would second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let's see, we have a liquor catering application from Windham Wines for several days.
Do you want me to try?
You get it or you want to get it?
Go for it.
Right, we have, Hugh's gonna be away, someone's going to have to.
Should I practice
out.
while you're
You're
here?
practice up.
And is it a motion that you make?
To-
So I would move that we recess as the select board and reconvene as the liquor commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Windham Wines has several dates: May 26th, June 2nd, June 21st, and August 25th.
Wow,
They
are
say
we
they
invited?
You may be, I'm
See,
not.
that's funny. You want to get invited. I told Zeke I was going to jump the fence myself.
So they say they're average of 90 people.
At each event?
Yes,
Wow.
average of 90.
Awesome.
Let's see, I think
Exciting.
most of these are wedding receptions, and I think most of them are, they turn off the beer and wine at 9 o'clock or something and try to get people out of there by 10. So what would you like to do?
It's good business. Good plan.
Okay, that's a motion.
I thought we already went to.
No,
oh, we
we-
just.
no.
Oh, then I'll move that we approve the dates as requested from Windham Wines.
Okay, any discussion?
I'm just curious from a historical perspective, is this about the number of dates we usually, is this a lot more than usual or less, or is this about
I
average?
think usually we do them piecemeal.
Oh, I
but-
see, so they all got submitted
Yeah,
at
this
once.
is the
Okay.
caterer
Yeah, right.
for these events, and
Right.
rather than, put in
Mhm.
every,
No, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
and I think Scott Farm has a limit to the number
Yeah.
of events that they can have, and I think there's a protocol set for, the timing of such events. And Wyndham Wines is a common provider, and they
Right.
know all of those rules. They're
Mhm.
really, if it were somebody that we hadn't ever heard of
Yeah.
before, we might have more questions,
Right.
but,
Right,
yeah.
just curious about the
Yeah.
history of
Shady
that.
Grove Bar and Grill. Okay, so, motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good.
So I would move that we recess as the liquor board and reconvene as the select board.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good, great. I was gonna.
I think we're good.
We're good. We got it.
Yeah, that was good. I was gonna keep on as the liquor commission for a while. Okay, so, EMD, Emergency Management Director, position discussion. So, we never reappointed the Emergency Management Director after town meeting. In part because she had actually tried to resign and wasn't, so we felt like we had to talk with her and a little bit more before we did anything. I met with her last week, and she feels strongly that the town, with Vermont Yankee closed, the town simply doesn't need a specific emergency management director. She feels something that happens, the fire department, the road crew, Green Mountain Power, the sheriff or state police, those are going to be the people to handle an emergency situation. Lori Frechette, as the town clerk, is willing to take calls and help out. I think the select board needs to also be available. Even in the Vermont Yankee days, the select board was supposed to play a big role in any
And we did some trainings and.
emergency. So she feels that's how it should be done. With the new radios that allow the road crew to communicate with the fire department and other departments, she feels that she just wouldn't have much to do as a emergency management director. So that's her, so her recommendation is that we do not reappoint an emergency management director.
Even for this this fiscal year.
The one that we're in, she's willing to continue to, she has to wrap up some paperwork and grant, but we have no more grants coming in from the state in the next fiscal year, so she's going to wrap things up, and then at the end of the fiscal year, she would be done.
I'm just curious if something were to happen that did then require a lot of paperwork to follow up on an emergency, could we at that point reopen this discussion?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We could reopen the discussion anytime.
Okay.
Just,
I have heard scenarios in which if there is an emergency, there's a lot of administrative follow-up
There-
afterwards, so,
I think there is.
yeah.
I think with Irene and FEMA, my recollection is that Lori, and I think it was Pam McFadden at the time, did quite a lot of the paperwork.
Yeah.
But is that what you recall?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have money,
And usually the newest member of the select board usually
Okay.
does a lot of that,
so we have funds in our budget
right?
for an emergency management director. And I think even for an assistant,
Right.
and so is she going to keep track of her hours and then get paid for the hours she worked, or did those funds get dispersed because we've,
Okay, so for
They've been
the money
promised.
from the grant, from the fiscal year that we're in now, there was $15,000. So between her assistant, herself, and then the cost of the radios and generator repair, the radios were something close to $10,000.
okay,
Generators were, upkeep and maintenance were a couple of more grand, and so there wasn't that much for the stipends this year.
Okay.
But it will, I think it will be gone
okay,
on June 30th.
that's what I wondered, okay.
And then the money we put in for July 1st onward, there's some in there for a salary, but very little.
Yeah,
And then the rest of that would go to continue for the generators and things like that in
Yeah.
town.
and any, yes, there's Oh, I think it was
think it's
something
3.
like 4,000 something.
Yeah, it was, I think 3, maybe 3 for salary, maybe 3 for the primary and a little bit for the assistant.
So
For
then what
salary.
happens to those funds?
Those will just go
Okay.
unexpended. They'll go
Mhm.
back into the general fund.
Mhm,
We just won't spend them.
Mhm.
Just like we won't spend anything on the town juror this year,
mhm.
so we don't have one.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, but the maintenance, under emergency management, the maintenance costs that we
Right.
voted on, we'll go ahead and have that work done. So I don't think we need a motion to not reappoint someone, so, but a consensus or sense of the meeting that,
Yeah, I mean,
We're
it makes
good with
sense to
this?
me. I agree that we have a pretty, you know, we're in good shape to have different groups of people that are in those positions to respond to calls for help and emergencies and
Mhm.
power outages and
Mhm. I think there are about 30 towns that have emergency management directors in the state, and most of the towns don't have one.
Mhm.
But we were in the evacuation zone for
Right.
Vermont Yankees, so
Mhm.
that was something we had.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so everyone good with that?
I'm good, yep.
Okay, good. All right. Well, so both Don Hubbard and Rick Davis, Larry Lynch were emergency management directors for the town and did, great work when,
Mhm.
especially when Vermont Yankee was very active in holding drills and exercises, and they had a crew that they coordinated. So. But we're moving on. So we've approved the rescue truck. Select board goals is still on there. Did you have something for that?
Well, so the paving, we've really talked about this, when we were walking around West Street, we were kind of talking about how we've done things in the past and how we moved forward, like, as far as Upper Dummerston Road, where we ground that out, and then redid it, and, recrowned it and paved it again. We're doing the same thing with West Street. And just in the discussion, the idea is, if we should look further down the road, we put 95,000 a year in for paving. But just like we have a capital fund for heavy equipment, a lot of these roads, we paved them over and over and over again, and a lot of them are losing their shape. So really the expense for road maintenance, if we want to do it right, could very well go up. We got the rain, the runoff, all these things, we have Act 64 coming up. So the idea is, as we were talking, if it could be done, is we may put 90,000 in, whatever we're going to pave next year, but, it wouldn't hurt to start putting money away, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a year, whatever we could decide on. And then when the east-west road or something big comes up, instead of just going, oh, we're going to pave it, we really need to look at the road more closely and decide what it needs to properly take care of that road. Instead of just looking at, the street and you got layer, we've done that for a long time. It's really time to start doing it correctly. Not that it was, not it was incorrectly done, but it's now, a lot of them have lost their form, lost their shape. They don't shed water properly. So I guess the idea was just, as we go into the budget next year, put it in for discussion whether we want to start looking out and next year maybe a 90,000 paving, but let's add some, because the following year we might need 130 or 40 or 50 or more money. So just essentially we're looking at a capital fund for paving.
Could we add it as a line item in the capital budget fund?
That's why I think we could. It's a long-term
Right.
planning. We're trying to look at it and just, we'd have to sit down and kind of look at our inventory. What are the next roads we're going to be doing, and then just like we do with everything, kind of project out, or just at least put a little bit of a buffer in there, so when we don't kind of hit a situation where we thought we could do something for whatever amount, but now we realize that that road is in much worse shape, so it's got to be brought back down, or or taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we know about our, the unpaved roads and what they take to take care of and sort of the maintenance of those. And what percentage of our roads are paved in Dummerston?
Yeah, I don't have the mileage. It's not a large.
It's not significant.
no.
I mean,
I think the difference is the unpaved roads, the town crew handles. The paved roads, we have to bid it out.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
that's the unknown. And by budgeting for it, or trying to
Right.
budget for it,
right,
So it's
right.
not-
Okay, that's
Right.
helpful,
Right.
Maria.
So we-
Thank you.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, so we buy the gravel. We know
Right.
essentially what we need
Yeah.
to put
Right.
gravel on. We get the graders. We put the money out for the heavy
Right.
equipment to maintain those roads.
Right, right. But for the paved roads, we have to.
Yeah.
Right, and we've sort of been holding it at 95,000 for a few years, and, you know, it used to buy a longer stretch,
Right.
and so we're doing a little bit less, and
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
and now when we're thinking of doing more than just putting another layer on.
Right.
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm. So it's something to
Yeah.
think about. You know, it's kind of like, you know, sometimes you can superficially fix things, but eventually you got to dig in and fix the
Mhm.
structure
Yeah.
behind it. So it was just one of those, we're walking up and down the road, checking levels and things. We were part of the discussion we had, and it seemed like a good idea. You know, Lee had a good idea, I thought. So
Hmm.
something to think about for the budget.
Mhm.
Anything else there? Okay, under, any other business? Yeah. So we had a letter from Mary Lou Schmidt. She'd like to hold a Prospect Meeting Trustees. Did I say Prospect Hill
Mm-hmm.
meeting? On May 9th at 5:15. And we'll have our regular meeting at 6. Looking ahead, I think we're going to have, well, let's see, we'll cross that bridge. We might have an interview for Conservation Commission later in May, but, so that's, our next meeting will, for those that can get here, 5:15 for Prospect Hill.
Okay.
So any other business?
Just one last thing I'll throw. So, walk around. So, we have one of the residents in the village has a permit to do an add-on to behind his house for like a mother-in-law apartment, and he doesn't have access through his own property to get to it. To the right of way doesn't include it, but so it's essentially it abuts the Baptist church, which is in the village as well. So just I talked to the parties that were interested in that last week, and they've come to an agreement. You know, the town doesn't actually have a real interest in it, other than it was, you know, I was asked to come down and take a look at it, and I got these parties together. But so they're going to put, just so you know if you drive by, so between the Baptist church and then to the house to the south, there's going to be a gravel road essentially put in there on the right of way into the cemetery, so that work can get done. Okay, it won't affect Brett Castine's bringing his equipment in, I think, within the next week or several days to start cleaning up the cemetery. But once that's our access for the town. That's our interest, to get in there to get the cemetery taken care of. But once that work's completed, then that will all be cleaned up, you know, resodded and reseeded, and it should be the next 3 or 4 weeks. That should all take place. But if you drive by and you see, or if you get an inquiry, you know, the church board of trustees worked with the property owner to work the access back in there, but it won't affect what our guys need to do.
Okay, and you helped smooth this deal through.
I was present.
Okay, all right, well, good,
Yeah, it worked out well.
good,
So it's good.
all right. Okay,
So are class 3 roads unpaved and class 2 paved? Is that what a class 2 road is? It's a paved road?
I think all the class 2 roads are paved, but like the village is considered a class 3 road. The West Street. I
West Street is considered class 2?
think, yeah, I think the only class 2 road is East-West Road, in Middle
Middle
Road.
Because this little chart says that we have 50 miles of class 3 roads and only 12 miles of class 2 roads. So I don't know if that's the balance of unpaved and paved.
No, there's,
Doesn't sound
there'd be class 3 that aren't, but, so East-West Road is a class 2. I think Middle Road is a class 2.
Uh-huh. Lee's explained that to us
Yeah.
before.
West Street's a class,
Next time
it's usage and what the state covers
Okay.
to pay for it.
Probably Schoolhouse Road.
Schoolhouse Road would be, so that's probably your 12 miles there.
Right.
Yeah, East-West Road, Schoolhouse, and Middle Road are your class 2 roads. And maybe Upper Dummerston part of it, but I don't know for sure.
Mr.
But-
Chair.
Yeah,
Street
Upper
too.
Dummerston. There are several class 2 roads, including East-West Road, Middle Road, Schoolhouse Road, and Upper Dummerston Road.
Okay. So the other roads are still class 3 that are paved, but class 3 can also be dirt roads.
Okay.
Right, which we have most of.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, would you entertain a question from the cameraman?
Sure.
And I'm just curious, Lee mentioned going to this Windham Regional Road Erosion Inventory, and I wondered if that would inform what you were talking about. If there was a relation. Like if he's actually doing an inventory of the road erosion in town, and that might help you.
That's Windham Regional is helping us do our inventory for our Act 64 requirements.
Oh, okay.
So that's a separate from this.
Yeah.
So we've just been waiting. We have a grant with Windham Regional, and then they're going to come in and look at our segmented road sections
Yeah,
that need to be addressed as far as for the runoff.
Yes.
yeah. I'm just curious if that would inform thinking about the paving in any way. You know what I mean? Like if you might be able to use some of that information for what you were talking about. That was
Yeah,
all.
we'll see where it goes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there probably is
Yeah.
some kind of relationship there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other business? Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good.